By the time Ron was in high school, she depended on her family for round-the-clock care. With added stress at home due to his mother's diagnosis, it isn't surprising that Ron felt the need to act out and get attention from teachers and classmates. Noticing their son's love of the spotlight, they encouraged him to get into acting. It wasn't until he attended high school at Benjamin Cardozo that he really discovered his love for the stage. Even with acting occupying most of his time, as well as having a job selling ice cream, he still managed to think about girls. At 12, the young boy had his first kiss with a neighbor named Stephanie. After this initial short-lived romance, he met his first love, Mandy, at 15, who he lost his virginity to. However, Ron admits that he's not sure there was any real penetration since he put the condom on inside out. I'd also like to point out in 2020, Ron started calling Mandy Marjorie, which contrasts from what he claimed in his biography from 2007, but these sorts of slip-ups will make sense later on.
I was 15 years old. The girl's name was Margie.
No, I said, did you cheat on Margie?
Oh, yeah, one time.
Immediately after sleeping together, Mandy stopped seeing Ron, so he moved on with his first official girlfriend, Karen. This would end in disaster as Ron continuously cheated on her with Mandy, with the two having sex in an elementary school after hours. Ron was starting off his career in dirty movies. His brother would go on to study economics at Harvard and become a CEO, and his sister worked as a district attorney. While his father and siblings were open to his career choices, the adult actor admits that he's not sure how much his mother understood his career since her Parkinson's had worsened. In 1979, she passed away just 1 year after Ron entered the adult entertainment business. After her death, Ron threw himself into his work, flying out to California to be a guest on Wheel of Fortune, an episode which appears to be lost media, and to film adult movies. The up-and-coming performer ended up winning a trip to Mexico from the game show, but chose to film adult movies instead, desperately trying to make a name for himself. Luckily, he was performing during a time that would go on to be known as the Golden Age of porn, lasting from 1969 to 1984. This time period would attract positive attention from mainstream cinemas, movie critics, and the general public. These movies had budgets as large as many B-movies and spanned 90 minutes or more, having a true storyline. It was around this time that Ron had him visiting nightly. The thing is, Ron's opinion on the food would be debated in the 2008 film as everyone else viewed it as vile. This is also when his weight gain would begin, but we'll get to that later.
Why are you asking about that horrible food, Jesus?
Since Plato's was a swinging club, Ron was required to bring a woman with him to get access. In his book, he recounts the many rules and unsaid rules in the swinging community. First off, it is extremely important to have equal men and women, or even better, to have more women. Unfortunately, sometimes women would come and not want to be involved with the other men, leading her to be labeled as a ticket. This often threw off the perfect equilibrium of the genders. Even worse was when the couple was not upfront and honest about their intentions. For instance, Ron once brought a date to Plato's and the two began hooking up with another couple. The husband of said couple had sex with Ron's dates, but his wife understandably didn't want to sleep with the now overweight Ron. The adult performer found this to be incredibly rude and had the couple kicked out of the club for good. He had this power due to his friendship with the owner Larry. This eventually gave him the ability to come as a single man. The interesting thing about this club was there were many types of couples attending. Some were married for 20 years and trying something different, and others were adult performers familiar with the free lifestyle. The glamour of the club soon attracted celebrities such as musician Sammy Davis Jr., Richard Dreyfuss, and the cast of Saturday Night Live. Plato's began to even receive mainstream press because Levinson decided to start holding family days at the club where couples could bring their children to the establishment, even letting them swim in the pool that normally had all sorts of bodily fluids flowing throughout. Ron Jeremy claims that the club was clean and family-friendly, but those interviewed for the American Swing documentary seem to paint an entirely different picture.
I see all these men standing around the pool, and they're all off.
You would have maybe 200 bodies in there on a busy night, and just writhing together like a bucket of worms.
Beyond that, the club was heading for dark times. Although there isn't any concrete evidence of these claims, many of the people who worked in the club allege that Larry was involved in the mob. All of this was going to catch up with the business owner when one night he was kidnapped for 2 days. When he returned, Larry was beaten severely, needing a wheelchair, but acted like everything was fine and never explained what had happened. If that wasn't enough controversy, the IRS became involved, and in 1981, Larry was facing prison time.
In 1 year, I think they claimed only $300 of taxable income and paid zero tax.
Mr. Levinson was sentenced to 8 years in prison, having to abandon his precious business. Being the good friend that he was, Ron would bring girls to Larry for conjugal visits in prison. Because as soon as Kristen came forward, so did another woman named Ginger Lynn. She accused Ron of sexually assaulting her all the way back in 1983.
He was just as disgusting back then as he is today. Can't say that he's my favorite person at all. He's actually, Ronnie actually me.
From here, more people began to question the beloved king of adult entertainment. Additional women began to share their horror stories with Ron on social media, even digging up old clips of his creepy nature, adding fuels to the legal fire.
At one point, you have to kind of hold your breath or black out.
He was always known to be a groper.
He tried to have sex with my friend and he tried to grab my titties.
And in 2018, he was banned from the adult video nominations.
Ron Jeremy was told he can't come.
Really?
Because of so many porn stars started complaining about harassment.
Jeremy continued to be in denial about the severity of the situation, despite the problem clearly not going away.
Ron Jeremy Hyatt is charged with forcibly raping 3 women and sexually assaulting another.
By June of 2020, Ron was arrested at a motel across from his condo in Los Angeles. When investigators looked into why Jeremy was living across the street from his house, can play the piano, violin, and unfortunately, the harmonica. With this background, he was able to put his skills to use when he released his own hit single, Freak of the Week, with DJ Polo. With the rise of trashy reality TV shows during this era, Jeremy fit right in, appearing on Surreal Life in 2004 and The Farm in 2005.
And Ron Jeremy, the adult film king.
I own the organ that was in Frank Sinatra's house.
I own the organ that was in many, many movies.
He even appeared on an episode of TLC's Hoarders Buried Alive to help his friend, which is ironic because later it would be revealed that Ron himself was a hoarder. He made an appearance in a Family Guy episode, was referenced a third time on SNL, appeared in an MTV commercial, and had 2 appearances on Robot Chicken. Later, his image was used in a